Okay. Yes. So I believe I'm live on Facebook. You, Carmen, Kathryn, if you want to check before we get started.
Hi, Saya. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kathryn. Welcome, welcome from all the way to Texas.
All the way in Texas,
And
where we've had thunderstorms, but the sun is shining just in time for Facebook Live.
happy belated anniversary.
Thank you very, very much. You can see my beautiful flowers in the background. So thank you. 10 years.
Love is in the air. Wow. And welcome, Carmen, all the way from
Good
North
afternoon.
Carolina.
Yes, from North Carolina. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well this afternoon.
Thank you very, very.
Yes. Please feel free to invite and reshare the video. I'm also trying to do that right now as we speak. So we will get into our conversation in 2 minutes. Let me just take care of some logistics in terms of sharing the video and inviting other individuals to join. And you all can do the same, Carmen and Kathryn. We can do that in 2 minutes and then we will just get started. I am so excited. I know this conversation's gonna be so rich. I can't wait to hear all about the good things from Liberia. Alrighty. So I'm just looking at my Facebook page. For those of you who have joined on Zoom, you might see me looking down a little bit. It's simply because I'm trying to logistically invite other individuals and reshare the video. Please feel free to reshare the video. We want you to spread the word as much as possible. Okay. Kathryn, Carmen, are you set?
All set.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ATDoe conversation around purpose. Today, we will talk about our recent trip to Liberia, West Africa. For many of you who have been following us on social media, may already have a lot of insight into all the great things that this team actually did in the month of March. By the way of introduction, my name is Saya Sio. I am the founder and chairman of the ATDoe Foundation, and I have the greatest privilege in my life to work with so many amazing supporters as well as our board members. And today, I have the greatest pleasure to talk to two of our board members, my sisters who traveled with us to Liberia in the month of March. But before we get started, let's just say a quick prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you for this opportunity to just share your word, share the mission, and share our experience. We thank you, God, that you will be in the midst of this conversation and that you will bless our listener and continue to bless the work of ATDoe Foundation, and not just ATDoe Foundation alone, but all the foundations that are trying to change the world. We bless you and we give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
So welcome, my sister. So this evening, I am joined with Kathryn Montgomery, all the way from Texas, and Carmen Carter from China Grove, North Carolina. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to share who they are and what they want you to know about them. We'll start with Kathryn Montgomery, who just celebrated her anniversary. Again, happy anniversary.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Saya, for that wonderful introduction. As Saya said, I was thrilled. It was the chance of a lifetime to travel with the foundation to visit our school, our academy in Liberia. I had an opportunity to travel with my husband of 10 years, Derek Montgomery. It was our first trip to Africa. And indeed, it was kind of surreal because I think all your life, or at least all my life, I wanted to go to Africa, but I always pictured it going, riding elephants, seeing lions. Little did I know God's plan for me was to go to Africa to do his work, not to see his creation, but to do his work. And that's kind of what really impacted me on this visit, is having the opportunity to meet Liberian people, to get a feel for the culture and their values, and of course, to get to know some of the children at ATDoe Academy. So I am just so excited to be on tonight, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions that you guys have about this wonderful experience.
Thank you, Kathryn. If you may just want to say the role you play in on ATDoe Memorial Foundation, that will
Oh yeah,
also be helpful.
That is right. I did forget to mention that I am a board member on the ATDoe Memorial Foundation. I've been on the board since 2015. One of the questions that people ask me is, am I Liberian? And what is my tie to Liberia? And I can just say, it's because of my Liberian name. It's my, while during our travels, we were granted a Liberian name, and mine is Monkanje, and it means because of you. So that is my answer when people say, why Liberia? Why this particular foundation? And it is because of the children there and the work that Saya has done and continues to do to benefit those kids. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm so closely aligned with the foundation.
Thank you, Kathryn. You already touching purpose already. We haven't even started to talk about it, but that's good.
Can't help it.
Let's go to Carmen. My Liberian sister, right? She's a Liberian now. So I'll let Carmen, who's been to Liberia about 3 times, talk about herself and what she wants the audience to know.
Yes, my name is Carmen Carter. This was actually my 3rd trip to Liberia. My first one was back in 2018. And then I went back in 2021 when we did the dedication for the junior high school. I've been on the board since 2019, but have been a part of the foundation since the inception through the church that I go to, which is First Reformed Church. And my role with the foundation is Director of Student Sponsorship. So having the opportunity to go back to Africa, which I wish I could have stayed longer than 2 weeks, but one of these times we'll get to stay longer. So that's my dream. But just being with the kids, learning their stories, and being able to share them with you to hopefully get them sponsored throughout their education and graduation at the school. But I went with my husband, who we actually got to celebrate our 34th anniversary while we were actually there in Buchanan at the school, setting up the PA system for the auditorium, and which was such a blessing. But they gave me my Liberian name back in 2021, which is Dekanti, which means a time for everything. And I try to make time for the foundation as much as I can to get the word out for the students, and looking forward to sharing more stories and needs tonight and answering any questions.
Thank you so much, Carmen. I see you're wearing an African attire.
Yes, I am. One of
Oh, wow. You must really be in the African spirit. Thank you so much. It's great hearing you being with the foundation this long and just loving what you do. So while we were still talking about that, Carmen, what really makes you feel connected to the ATDoe Foundation?
I think after the first mission trip that we did back in 2018, and at the end of the trip, having the time to sit back and recollect on everything that we saw there, being with the students, seeing the needs, realizing the blessings that we have and how much that we can pour into that community and the school to help these kids have an education to better their life and to help their families, just touched my heart to be able to help them and to share.
Great. Kathryn, I know it must have been really hard, right? As you said, your perception of Africa was going to see elephants and connect with the natural resources and all of that. What made you think about going or agreeing to go to Liberia?
Well, over the years since I've been on the board, and as a member of the board, I do a lot of the marketing and communications for the board. And as a result of that, I see tons of pictures and tons of videos. And so in a way, it felt like with every picture and every video over the years, I got closer and closer really to the spirit of those children. So going to Liberia to me was about connecting with individuals, those kids that I only saw in pictures, only saw smiling and acting mischievous in videos. There was something in me that knew that I needed to connect with them on a more personal level. And so I forgot all about elephants, didn't see an elephant, forgot about lions, didn't see a lion, but it was much, much more. What God had planned for my first trip to Africa was much, much more than that, and more than I really ever dreamed it would be.
So I guess it's the deeper purpose, right? We all have that deep calling or yearning that we need to follow through. And then there are a lot of questions about when, where, how. So you just have to brave the storm. What would you say to somebody who maybe in your same position wants to do something, explore, has a need to connect at this level, but have their own fears, right? Like what you heard versus what you saw. I remember you made a statement when we were in Liberia. This is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. So let's talk about that. What would you say to that individual who is still on the fence and thinking, I'm afraid, I don't know the why, the when, and where, and if what's the reality gonna be?
Well, I can speak of that from two different perspectives. Number one is if we search our heart and we know that we are walking in our purpose, that God has put a task on our list or a yearning in our heart. And when we start to walk toward that, we'll find the wind at our back. We'll find that God will make a way, that God will clear a path, that God will make it clear that we need to go and what we need to do. And he will assure success because he did that for me. When I went to Liberia, I expected to see poverty. I expected to see a lack of infrastructure like we have in the United States. I expected all of that. And initially when I got there, my first thoughts was, I am so grateful that I am from the United States. But the more I got to visit with the people and spend time with individuals, connecting one-on-one with our students and our teachers and our staff, and just members of the community, I realized Liberia is about heart and spirit. We may have things, we may have more resources. We may have things that we gain by the privilege of just being born in the United States, but the Liberian people have so much more than that. They have a spirit of community. They have a resilience. They have an optimism and a faith that you can't see that replicated here in the United States. So what I thought I would find, I did find that. I found connections and people, but I found so much more to Liberia than just what you might read stereotypically in Africa.
Wow, that is deep. Carmen, with you being 3 times, what would you say to that effect?
I agree wholeheartedly what she said. The poverty is there, and it makes you think about what we have. And when you come back for the trip, you think before you buy something, do I really, really need this, or is this just a want? Or while we're eating a plate of food and we leave food on the table, I just happen to think those kids, what they would be doing to have this opportunity to be eating the way we are. They don't know any better. They're happy. They go out and play. They may not have the conveniences of electricity, running water, indoor plumbing, but they're happy. They have each other, they have their families, and they're getting by. They don't have the, what am I wanting to say? Everything that we've been giving, and we earn, we want, they just don't need it. They're happy with playing with a ball or a rock with a stick, and learning with just paper and pens, and their teachers writing on the chalkboards their lessons. They don't have actual books that they're learning from. They're getting it all from handwritten on the boards, and what an excellent education they're. It's just amazing how well these teachers are being able to teach these students and how well above their grade levels that they are. I'm so proud of them.
And thank you. So for those of you who are just joining, I guess we just assume that everybody knows ATDoe Memorial Foundation mission. ATDoe Foundation has been in existence for 11 years. We provide free Christian education to over 540 students in impoverished communities in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. We started about 11 years ago as an elementary school, and God has been very gracious to this organization. From 75 students, we went on to building a junior high school 2 years ago. And recently in March, we went to actually dedicate and break ground for our high school facility, which will allow us to give 600 plus children access to free quality education. That means in the next 2 years, we will be graduating our first high school students. And there's a high possibility of those students gaining scholarship to further their education to the United States of America and other parts of the world. To me, that's what purpose look like. And then from the women perspective also, we do a lot with women from different impoverished backgrounds. We all know from Africa, born and raised in Africa, we know the resiliency of a mom. Most homes are really kept because of a woman in Africa. So we are not leaving our mothers behind. We have almost about 5 different empowerment programs. 6 months free sewing training where these women come and learn skills and they are able to go back and start their own businesses. We also offered interest-free microfinancing loan for 12 months, computer literacy program. I would say that's a blend between women and high school young girls. And then recently, while visiting Liberia, we also launched 2 additional programs, which is the fashion and interior design, as well as tie and dye and soap making. So the foundation continues to expand to provide more opportunities for women. And then from a health perspective, we also provide free preventative health care services. One of the things that we also did while visiting Liberia recently was also to break ground for not just a high school, right? We're thinking about building our community clinic. So we have a lot going on. So when we talk about purpose, it's a lot to pick from. So Kathryn, I know you were so close to the heart of women. You talk a lot about women empowerment, just with everything the foundation does from a women perspective. What would you say you like to see? What is working? What are some of the things you would like to share concerning that?
Well, I think that all of our children need a good support system at home. A lot of them don't have an opportunity to live with their natural parents through illness, through abandonment, through disease, through various circumstances. Many of these children live with guardians, with aunts and uncles that already have a house full of children. It's amazing. They always make room for one more. No matter what the circumstances are. So empowering women is a way to change the entire community. I think that I read a statistic for every one woman lifted out of poverty, she brings 9 people with her. And so it's important that we don't leave our mothers behind, because they are supporting the work that we're doing at school all day. They are supporting those children. And I'd just like to mention one of the things that we had an opportunity to do while we were there was to have homecoming festivities, and we had a parade, and we can talk about some of those things later. But what struck me was on the day before homecoming, the girls all came to school with their hair braided very simply in their uniforms, nothing fancy, just every day. But on homecoming day, you can see how all of the mothers did so much special treatment to the hair. They had extra ribbons, they had extra curls. These are the women who are supporting and nurturing our students. And they, just like mothers in the United States, they take pride in their students and in our students and their children. And so the least we can do is to help support them, because their nurturing and care, like they showed during the homecoming festivities, that is really what underscores the work that we're doing at the school during the day.
And this is really important because as you think about it, this month is International Women Month, and today is the last day. So Carmen, I know you've been around long enough from the foundation. What would you say from the women empowerment perspective?
It's great to see how these programs are helping these women go out and support their families. And it's not only being able to do that, with them being able to earn an income for themselves with learning how to sew. We found out when COVID hit, one of the women that had just graduated from the sewing class was able to start her own business and make masks to sell to companies, and go around to different neighboring companies to sell those masks to the people, to help there. We have other mothers that, instead of being just doing the simple things and trying to dry fish or take palm leaves and make things and then send the kids after they get home from school to the markets, now they're being able to actually run their business because we're giving them the support structure, we're giving them the training and even the loans to help them expand their businesses, that the kids are being able to study more and just help with chores around the house. So we're seeing slowly but surely things starting to make a change in the community.
So every woman around the world has a problem or there is a need, right? Somebody might ask, you are from the US, why do I have to support a woman in Africa versus supporting a woman in the US? What will be that reason?
I will say something that someone told me a long time ago: a child is only as good as his happiest or saddest parent. So, and by empowering these women to be able to feed their families, to be able to build self-esteem because they are self-sufficient and that they don't have to send their children hungry to bed at night, it builds more than just meals. It builds self-esteem, it builds resilience and hope. I think that their nurturing will be what helps our children achieve the educational goals that we're giving them instruction to do. I think the family will be key to that success. And that starts, like you said, in Liberia with the mother.
Thank you, Kathryn. I know, Carmen, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. If not, we'll move on to
That pretty much hits it.
your initial reaction, Kathryn. What was your initial reaction when you actually landed or visited the ATDoe Academy?
I can't even describe it. We drive up and there are these 500 children that are standing there waiting to greet us in the hot sun. They didn't seem restless. They didn't seem particularly irritable like I would expect children in the US to be. They weren't moving around. They were very welcoming and they looked like they were as excited to see us as I was to see them. But when the little girl stepped forward, she couldn't have been more than 8 years old. And she stepped forward with that bouquet and she stood there and she delivered a welcome that was fitting of the, I guess, Queen of England. She didn't stutter. She didn't seem shy or bashful. She delivered a welcome that really touched my heart. That's probably one of the videos I've watched the most since I've been back, is the welcome series that of videos that we took when we first arrived. I was excited. The kids were excited. I just wanted to hug every single one of them. And I think over about a week, I pretty much did. So it was indescribable, really. I get chills even talking about it.
I saw every child trying to follow you at some point, and I was wondering how long you were going to hold on, but I think you really did a very good job throughout the week, just smiling and just allowing all of them to have a piece of you.
There was one point that I had a child holding on to every finger on my hand. So I had 10 kids that were stuck to me, but every one of them had a finger, and that was enough for me.
Deconti, what about you? What was your reaction when you landed at the academy? And I know it's the third time, but every time has its own emotions.
It does. It's just the overwhelming welcomeness that they give us, and then trying to look through the crowd because there's certain ones that I was trying to pick out their faces, but they all, in their uniforms, they all look so much alike, the way they have their hair and everything. So I didn't get to see certain ones I wanted to see until we got into some of the classrooms, but there were several faces that I noticed, especially with being director of student sponsorship and having the pictures sent over with their stories, and being able to talk to them and have them come up, give me hugs, and listen to how they're doing in school, and watching them play, and seeing how well they're doing and how they're growing and just prospering so much. It's amazing. And I know by the time we go back in a couple of years, to see them where they're at that point will be so much better. But it's always a joy to see them and getting all those hugs.
Yeah, let's get personal when you talk about how they're growing, Carmen. I know when we first started the foundation and you and your husband, Lane, have attended one of the gala, and the both of you decided to sponsor two little kids.
Yes.
Who today, I want you to talk about that experience from the beginning and how they are today, your experience when you went to Liberia. Yep.
Okay. The first gala we went to, you shared on the screen from the principal this picture of this little boy and little girl in everyday clothes, sitting on concrete blocks. And you said when you saw that picture, you had to contact the principal to find out, why are they out of uniform? Why are they not sitting at a desk? And he says, because they weren't picked this year to join. He said, but they've taken it on their own initiative to bring a concrete block in the room to just sit and be quiet. And he said, I don't have the heart to send them away. And my husband and myself on the drive home that evening both looked at each other about the same time and said, let's sponsor them. So we gave you a call. We got them started in their education. We kept getting updates on them. We got to officially see them the first time we went in 2018. Josephine was this short little girl, skinny little thing, quiet, bashful, wouldn't talk. And Thomas probably came up to right below between my elbow and my shoulder, skinny, shy, but they were both so appreciative of what we were doing for them. They took us to see their houses, to see their living conditions. We got to meet their parents. We got to talk to them and express, we're helping them. We're going to sponsor them all the way through school. So you need to make sure they have time to study, to learn. And then 3 years later, 21, we went back. Josephine has grown. She's put on weight. She's blossoming. Actually, I didn't even have to go hunt for her. She found me, which was a joy in itself. The same for Thomas. But this year when we went back, Thomas had taken a growth spurt and he was taller than my husband. And Josephine clung to me the whole time with several of the other girls, but she was with me every moment she could be. So it's just a blessing to see how they're doing and how they're growing and learning.
That just melts my heart because, when we first met Josephine, she could not speak a word.
No, she couldn't.
Just the fact that her self-esteem, because of your support, because somebody believed in her, right? It's making her believe now that she's good enough, she is sufficient. So ATDoe Foundation is just not about giving education, it's about connecting to these kids at a personal level. I did not even recognize Josephine when I got to Liberia because I kept asking you, have you seen
Where'd she-
Josephine? And he's like, yeah, she's with me. But she had blossomed so much, her confidence, she is smiling. Because it took Josephine like 2 years to complete kindergarten. This is how
Yeah,
much
exactly.
you all have invested in her. So folks, for those of you who are listening, this is not just about giving her $300 to support a child. This is about creating that space, creating that ability for that child to believe in themselves. You talk about Thomas. Thomas is already so grown up now, taller than your husband. I can't thank you enough,
Yes.
and all of you who are supporting these kids, because you are definitely impacting purpose. This is what God wants us to do. This is what the word should be about. This is what living is about. When we talk about purpose, it's about leaving a legacy that allows another person to hope again, to dream again. That is, and we have so many of those stories, right? Kathryn, you want to talk
Yeah.
about your baby girl, right? Who you, I
Oh,
think
my
we
baby girl,
already
Divine.
want to bring to the US.
Yes, I would bring her and her sister and her little brother Emmanuel as well. I mentioned earlier that I get an opportunity to see a lot of photos and videos from the foundation in order to post on our social media and share with our supporters. I came across one video that Saya shared. It was a 4-year-old little girl in kindergarten. Her name was Divine, and Miss Divine won the spelling bee. But what was so funny, Divine, the teacher, was giving her words and she was spelling them with every ounce of energy in her body. She spelled probably 20 words in maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And on top of that, was able to quote 2 Bible verses during the spelling bee. And it was funny because when she started, there were a bunch of kids standing up waiting for their turn. About halfway through, you start seeing the kids sitting down because they knew Divine would be on stage for a while. And something touched my heart with Divine, and I really get emotional about it. I learned in my very early 30s that I could not have natural children. And that created a lot of anxiety for me. I wasn't married. I didn't think that I would ever get married because nobody wanted to have a wife that couldn't bear children. But my mother told me is that God may not have put you to be here as one child's mother, but maybe God is making you every child's mother. And when I saw Divine on that video, I said, there's another one. Over my whole adult life, I've always found myself with children, whether it's as a volunteer at church or whether it was teaching financial literacy to middle school students. I've always been a mother figure for many children. And when I met Divine, I knew that she would be one of the ones that I will look back on and say, yep, she's mine. She's mine. And her mother sent me a nice note from Divine that said that she had fun with me during Liberia and she sees me in her dreams and that she hopes and prays that we will be reunited again soon. And so she's one of mine now. I'd bring her home if I could.
Got
But
me emotional too.
she's smart and she's precocious and she's just so sincere. I would hold her hand and then I would have to go off somewhere and I would say, well, Divine, I will be back. I'll see you later. Before I could turn around, she was right back. She never really left. So that was one of the highlights of the trip, to see Divine, and I can't wait to watch her learn and grow and have the same experience that Carmen has had watching Josephina grow and bloom as well.
And connecting with her on a personal level. That was deep, Kathryn. You said what your mother told you from a purpose standpoint. You may not have been called to have natural children, right? But you are called to mother many children. And that's
And
powerful.
I take that to heart every day.
Because many of us may give birth. Giving birth to a child doesn't necessarily make you a mother. Mother are people who nurture, who care, who carry the heart to ensure that our people become their best self. And that's what you all done, right? Mothering. So I want to give it out to you again, you and Carmen, on this International Women's Day, to care for another person, to make sure that person's dream is accomplished. And that's what is called purpose. It becomes fulfilling both ways, right? So it's not just, purpose is so deep, it's two ways. If you are walking in your purpose, you fulfill what God calls you to do. And it's fulfilling for another person who's on the receiving end. Mm-hmm. Ooh, this is deep. I feel like preaching already. So how can we, for those individuals who are listening and might want to sponsor or get connected with some of these kids, how can they get connected?
Yeah, they can, I can speak on this just for a few minutes. They can reach out to our website at www.ATDoemf.org to go to the student page to see some of the students' photos and stories. We, since we've gotten back from Africa, we took plenty of video and we worked with the teachers on being able to get more timely information to be able to upload. You can also email me at carmen.carter@atdoemf.org, and I would be glad to, we can talk back and forth by email, find out what type of child you're looking for, if you want a young child that's just started school, if you want somebody older that you want to see be able to finish. We'll get their stories, we'll send you their stories. We send out their report cards once we receive them at the end of the year, so you can see where they're going. And then we ask you to send us notes, send us letters from you that we can send to them at the school for them to get, to learn more about you. And then them in turn will, they'll write back to you and let you know how they're doing in their activities and everything. So there's a way to grow that relationship. But right now we've got 540 some kids. We're probably at 30 to 35% sponsored. So there's a need out there. There's plenty of students out there that are needing to be sponsored and wanting somebody to just to believe in them, that they can make their dreams come true of being nurses, doctors, to give back to their community, to help out, to go into government. There's so many different ways you can help with the sponsorship.
And when I tell people about sponsorships, they're always amazed at what we can do with $300. Sponsoring a child for 1 year, one entire academic year, provides them with all of the resources they need to be successful at school, from their uniforms to their backpacks and their school supplies to their daily lunch meal, that there are dedicated, wonderful women who are preparing a lunch meal for these children every day. It's just amazing what $300 that we might spend on a good evening out dinner, especially if you go to the movies, you could easily spend that. And it just provides, not, like Saya keeps saying, not just the functional element of going to school, but all that comes with it: the love, the support, the hope, and the reinforcement that they can follow their dreams. They're just as smart, just as bright, just as ambitious as other children. And we need to make sure that they never forget that they do have a bright future if they can continue their education.
Wow, that's powerful. I know one of the students that also stood up when we were there was Rachel Toponian, our queen. I don't know if any of you want to talk about that little woman who's going to take over the world pretty soon.
She was powerful, and she has a voice that can sing a beautiful melody. she speaks from the heart, and she tells it like it is. Because when we had the groundbreaking for the high school, gave her the opportunity to speak, and she turned around to the government official that was there to let him know, and she actually knelt down on her knees saying, we need the help. Help us get this going, see what we're doing, see how we're growing. She was amazing, and I can't wait to see what she does with her career going down the line. Kathryn, I know you probably have something more to add.
Well, it was just funny because she told me she wanted to be a motivational speaker. I was like, girl, you already are, because her speech was fantastic. Like you said, she was a queen to represent any institution here or abroad. She is a great representative of homecoming and all that it means to attend ATDoe Academy. And she made it clear that she wanted to use her platform to show leadership and to inspire others, that she would be willing to share her insights and her advice. I was like, you are a motivational speaker. So just, just know that you are already doing what, walking in your purpose, even as a high schooler.
And these kids are really learning. For me, one of the things that really took me to the next level was the parade, how well they were disciplined and how they executed all of the instructions and the leading of it from beginning to end. You're talking about excellence at its best. I am still looking at those videos. I recently sent out, just before this event, I sent out the constant contact update about Mission Strip. Every link had a video in it because just so many beautiful memories. I couldn't even choose from which ones not to share. So just so many beautiful memories though. So I don't know, Kathryn and Carmen, if you just want to talk generally about the homecoming, your experience on campus, and then we can move on to talk about the groundbreaking in the school.
Well, the homecoming was fantastic. It was so great to see how much pride the students have in ATDoe. We were able to go to one of the soccer games at the field where we had our girls play and won. I think they won like 5-0. They did really, really well. But to see them gather and chant, ATDoe, ATDoe, it just warmed my heart. They had so much pride in the school that they attend. And it just, I get speechless sometimes, Saya. It's just so much, but the discipline. One of the things that really struck me about the Liberian community is the sense of community. They learn as a community. The children recite together. They pray at the same time. They sing songs in unison. And that was really reflected in the parade, that these groups, whether it was the drill team or whether it was the junior ROTC or the equivalent in Liberia, or whatever group the children belong to, my sponsored child, my sponsored student, Divine, she was able to dress in a medical uniform and had a little stethoscope showing what she wanted to be when she grew up. So just seeing them learning and demonstrating their pride for their school and their accomplishments in such a collective way was really awe-inspiring. We could take a lot of lessons from how our Liberian children cooperate and collectively work with each other.
We can, and also seeing how the community comes out for them and was out there to praise them and walk with them with the parade too. I couldn't believe how many people had come out just to walk along with them to see the parade and to be there at the end. From our dancers that are learning keeping the African dances alive that they're learning, from the singers groups that are doing anything from rap to the African songs to the spiritual songs, and just like you said, the collectivity of them being together. And I think one of the things that really touched my heart, that on the other 2 previous mission trips we did, because we've never been able to get to the school early enough when it starts, the morning that we got there to see them at the flagpole, in their lines for their different classes, waiting to have prayer and to sing the song as the flag was going up before they go into their individual classes. That was powerful. Wish we still had that in our schools here, like it used to be, but that was really powerful.
They're so disciplined, and they, like I said, the collectivity, as Carmen said, is just so striking. They are very, they're children, so they don't always stand still, but they are very disciplined. And I think they really appreciate, and in some ways really value what they are receiving at ATDoe Academy. And I think they behave themselves in that way, that they know it's a privilege and an honor to be there. They love their school. They have a lot of pride in their school. Their teachers are invested in them. That's a whole nother topic on how the staff has poured so much into these children. They love them. You can see how they take time to write and illustrate on the chalkboards, and how they lead the children in their lessons. I think they know that. And as they stand there reciting the pledge and saying a prayer, it's like they stand up a little bit taller, because I think they really love and value the education they're going to receive that day. So it was so many special moments.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, we say yes to that. Right. It's so much to cover from the recent trip. And Kathryn, one of the things that we reassured the students was the fact that there is possibility for our first graduating class to travel to the United States, right?
That is correct.
University. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, I'm privileged to work at Texas A&M University System. I work at Texas A&M Texarkana, but we have a very robust international students program. This year we had about 25 students from Nepal, and we have students from all over the world. It's my hope, and the hope of many others that I've shared my story with, to have, after our graduates, our first graduating class, to put the pieces in place starting now that would enable those children to have an opportunity, if they wish, to study in the United States. Not that they can't succeed and study in Liberia, there are opportunities there too. But I think that the opportunity for some of our brightest children, our most ambitious children, our children who are self-sufficient, can come here and enrich their lives beyond measure. And so I'm working to make that happen. And so I'm ready. That would be the joy of my life, to have a graduate of ATDoe Academy be able to attend school in the United States, specifically the Texas A&M University System.
Wow. This is purpose. So back to the purpose conversation, right? Somebody's destiny is tied to you in the US. And that's what sometimes giving back, I'm not going to say sometimes, but most times giving back is important. It's not about what you receive, it's about what legacy you leave and how you make others feel and enable them and create that path to their brighter future. So I can't thank you enough. All of you who are serving on the board, our sponsors, our supporters, who will continue to pray for this work, financially contribute, share, and champion everything that the ATDoe Foundation is doing. We cannot thank you enough. When I was standing before the foundation for the groundbreaking ceremony, it felt like a dream come true. It felt like a dream come true. It felt like a dream come true. So that moment for me brought forward every dream that my mother had concerning education. I was there symbolically, but I was in a different space. I felt like I was with my mom at that event, but she was so present. Like everywhere I went on campus, she was there. I've been to Liberia many times, but this time it was different. It was like my childhood being played in the future, and then my mother is there, and everything she said is happening, and I'm watching it, why it's happening. And that was so powerful to me. And for me, this is what purpose is about. This is what ATDoe is about. It's about living your dream and making that dream a reality, not for even myself alone, but for many others who will come after me. I know we still have a big need, $20 more thousand to complete the foundation, the high school. But I believe that is nothing. For everything that ATDoe Foundation does, I believe $20,000 is just a drop in the bucket when you think about the level of benefit and impact this foundation is making. Carmen, Kathryn, I don't know what you want to add to that from the groundbreaking and the need that you saw in Liberia.
I want to say that these kids are looking forward to their high school education. Seeing the foundation being built, actually the cutting of the ribbon and being able to participate in the laying of the brick, to seeing that it's on its way to go. We just need to put it out there to reach out to more people, to let them know the need that we have to get the walls raised, to get the roof on. September is just around the corner. We have 9th grade right now. We're needing this for our 10th grade class. In 3 years, first graduating class. So hopefully we've touched your hearts tonight that if you're not able to help, maybe you can share this with somebody that you know has a passion for this, and just share the video and let them know what our needs are and to get them in touch with us so they can help.
And I would like to add to that, Carmen, thank you very much, is that I know we focus a lot on what we're giving and what we're providing these children and the blessings that they receive as a result of our $300 contributions or whatever those contributions may be. But it's kind of a secret that what we get back in return seems to be much more valuable than any check that we write or any email that we send. What we get back is so rewarding. It is so when you know that you are indeed doing God's work and not only changing the life of a child, but possibly changing generations to come from that child. The joy and the peace that you get from that is invaluable. So while we are giving, we are also receiving. And that's when you know that you're walking in your purpose because the gift that you receive in your heart is greater than anything else that you could have invested.
Yes.
It's so powerful. We just got some questions from Facebook. Okay, we enjoyed the conversation around ATDoe, but what is your experience outside the school? What was your Liberian experience outside the school? Shopping, visiting other places, going to the beach. Let's talk about it a little bit. People want to know, starting with you, Kathryn.
Okay, it was my first time to Liberia. I didn't know really what to expect. Parts of it was what I expected. I knew that there wasn't a great infrastructure. I was curious about the availability of electricity and running water and some of the things like air conditioning that we take for granted. I was very interested in how that was going to work over there. But what I found was that no, we don't have all the modern conveniences. We have a lot of them thanks to the CO's hospitality, but we don't have everything in Liberia that we have at home. But within the first day, it just felt like home. It didn't feel as strange. I mean, there were people walking with massive amounts of materials on their head, and it was a curiosity to see how these women and even children could carry things on their head. So there were curiosities here and there, but by and large, what you see in Liberia is a country that is sorely lacking in on the ground resources, like running water and infrastructure, but people that are making do with what they have collectively. They are selling, they are sewing, they are doing whatever it takes to survive for themselves and their families. So we went to a resort at the beach, which would rival any resort that you might visit in the United States. Liberia is a beautiful country with natural resources. We saw rubber trees, acres and acres of rubber trees, which is one of the natural resources in Liberia. We saw just people making it every day, making it, cooking, cleaning, shopping, selling, living life, living life.
And I want to continue on that a little bit because I've been there 2 other times previously, but seeing this time and noticing and having to ask some questions, the roads are always an issue because the last time we were there, we thought they had the road from the airport into Monrovia fixed, but they are expanding it now to what will probably be 4 lanes. So there's a lot of torn places, a lot of dirt, a lot of bumps. So you get bounced around a lot, but there's light at the end of the tunnel for that. And the other thing is talking about the electricity, did happen to notice a couple spots that there were some new substations that had been built, and our Eric, who is our superintendent for the school, said that they are working with, and I may get this wrong, was it somewhere along the Ivory Coast? They're bringing in power, so they're putting up new power stations, substations with power lines to help build the electricity better. And that will even help at the school. Because right now, a lot of the times we run on a generator because the power is sketchy. So, and the fuel cost is, you think it's bad here, it's not bad here. It was like $7 a gallon or a little bit more in places there. So we need to thank God and praise him that it's not that bad. But it is coming along. There are countries that are coming in and helping with some of the infrastructure issues, and actually saw some new businesses that weren't there the last time we were there.
What about your lowest moment? I can start with me. For me, my lowest moment was we have planned, right? Because we have our own home in Liberia and Monrovia, so it's pretty well kept. So we had to spend 3 days in Buchanan and visiting the school. So the plan was to stop at Hotel Buchanan the last time we went, right? We were just walking and reserve our room. But at that time, there was a little bit of too much dignitaries in Buchanan. Little did I expect to have so many people in Buchanan that same week. So we could not find a hotel. We ended up at another hotel. Oh my God, I almost cried. Because I am thinking, okay, my husband and I can manage that. But now I got guests all the way from the US. We're gonna have to stay in this hotel. When I entered the bathroom, I started crying. I was like, oh God, I can't believe we're doing this. The bed was really hard. The room was really tight. I dreaded going to sleep every night for 3 days. But then, what's his name? Allen,
Yes.
who was on the team, always had a positive spirit. He's like, hey, I've been on Mission Strip where I had to sleep in the pods, where I had to sleep outside. So I had to take that and look at it from a different perspective and say, well, maybe God, you're showing us some level of humility. But for me, that was my lowest. It wasn't just low for me. It was embarrassing because I felt like I've already shared the good news about Hotel Buchanan. Yeah, I am with Kathryn and Carmen, who's been in Hotel Buchanan. Kathryn knew she's going to really have the true Liberia experience, right?
It wasn't that bad, Saya. We all slept. We all took showers. And actually, I had the best breakfast that I probably ever had in my life right there at the wherever we were filming is whatever. It was a good breakfast and the staff, they were wonderful and accommodating. And no, it wasn't perfect, but after the first day, we just kind of let it go and it was fine. It's fine.
Carmen?
The guest house kind of reminded me of the one we stayed at in Sunny Quilly, but maybe not as nice as the one in Sunny Quilly. But we were fine with it. Actually, I think I slept pretty good those 3 nights there. I was so tired, so it was nice to have a place to clean sheets and stuff just to be able to lay down and relax. I think one of my low points was to deliver those shoes to that village that was like a 4-hour drive away, and main road onto that dirt road, bump, 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 pothole here, pothole there. It was bumpy.
Yeah, Kathryn, you were lucky you had left, but we had to follow Francis all the way to Kipmount County to a town called Zimindada district. It was a 4 hours drive. We thought it was just 2 hours, but it was 4 hours, and 3 hours of the 4 hours was like you were in, yes.
Yes.
It was long, but at the end, once I saw the faces on the, the looks on the faces of those people, it was worth the ride.
It was well worth it. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
My low point didn't have anything to do with the roads, although they weren't always great. And it had to do with saying goodbye. That was really hard. And when I walked with Divine in one hand and her sister Odell holding the other hand, and they both had tears going down their faces, that was the low point, because I know that I can't jump on a flight at any time and just go to Liberia. And for a moment I had to stop and know that God will bring me back there one day. But that was really hard, not saying goodbye and not knowing when I was going to say, I'll see you again. That was hard.
Oh, I guess my high point was seeing, we had been praying because it had been shipped the end of December, 1st of January, a PA system over to the school for the auditorium, and getting the updates along the way that it's supposed to be there, and sometime around the 1st of March, and getting it out of port so we could actually get it delivered, and my husband get it set up and get the teachers trained on how to use it and how tearing it down, setting it back up and everything. And then them turning it on and jamming with the music. And then Eric comes in a little bit later because he had gone into town for something. He said he had people coming up to him that were away from school. Where's all that music coming from? He says, it's the ATDoe. So they'll be able to hear at the back of the auditorium now. So the people won't be talking, they will be listening. So that was a high point.
Yes, thank you again to you and Lane, because every time the school has an event, we have to pay almost $75 to $100 just to rent a PA system. Now we have our own PA system, and you actually install it on your anniversary. So that was double highs. Yes. So I know we have another question. It says, when do you have plans to go back? And if you do, what do you expect to see or bring back to the youthful students or the people of Liberia?
I'm definitely going back. If I could go back, I'd go back this summer, but my husband says that is not our summer vacation. We cannot go back maybe until next year, but I will go back. And what I know now is just to take an open mind and an open heart. I mean, they aren't like running to you asking for things or expecting you to give them things. They're there to get to know you and to just be open and get to I don't know, commune with their spirit. I know that sounds kind of corny, but more or less not looking for them in a deficient way, but going back knowing the resiliency and the community and the prayerfulness and the faith and the hope and the rigor that the community of Liberia has. I will go back with a lot less apprehension and a lot more excitement, just to see the people that I meet along the way.
Carmen, I know there's no question for you.
Definitely, no, I'm going back in 2026 for the first graduating class, and actually see Liberia in the rainy season. So that'll be different. But hopefully he'll provide a way that I'll be able to get that, because my heart's there, with every one of those students and also with the teachers. So if I could be there at longer periods of times, you'll find me on a plane.
And it's a long way.
It is a long flight.
It is a
So
long way.
it's like 30 some hours with all the connections, and
Yeah,
so
this has
definitely
been
have to stay longer than a week.
this has been amazing conversation. Though one of the things we did not touch on was the washing of the students' feet.
Mhm.
So, Kathryn, if you want to share your experience doing that, I know that was your first time, right? Because we've
It
done.
was.
Yeah.
It was, and it was
Mhm.
it was an experience. It wasn't it was just a opportunity while we were washing feet and had the opportunity to give shoes to the students. It gave us a one-on-one connection with that student. So for those few minutes that that student was sitting in front of us and we were washing and drying their feet, that's when you really got to connect with them. And so we were washing feet, but it didn't seem like that was the purpose. That was something we were doing, but the purpose was to meet and connect with student after student after student. I
Mhm.
probably washed, I don't know, it felt like 100 feet. And maybe it was more, maybe it was less, but I remember those conversations that the students had. I had students just curious and asking questions. And I was curious and I asked questions too. So that was the special time for me with the foot washing, although it was symbolic to let them know we may be from the US, but we're no better than you. And that was the message that I wanted them to get. And the connection was the best part.
Carmen?
It was unique to see some of the kids were looking to go to certain ones of us that they wanted to be with. Like some of the sponsored kids would come out to us and sit down because they were wanting to share while we were talking to them and washing their feet and giving them the new shoes. And then actually being able to be with the kindergarten classes all the way up through 9th grade and hear their stories of what they were doing in their classes. Because I would be asking them, what do you do? What's your extra like to do outside of your classwork? What's you like singing? You're in the drama club? Are you in this? Do you play sports? And just getting them to open up and share. So it was amazing.
Saya, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. For me, it was the amount of dreams that these kids carry. Because as I'm sitting washing their feet, I'm asking, what do you aspire to be? What do you want to be?
Mhm.
And these kids have big dreams. I was hearing doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, and it just warms my heart to see the level of aspiration these students have and giving me the first-hand opportunity to pray with them and prophesize in their lives that if you dream it, believe it, and it can happen. And that was another high moment for me, just connecting again with their future and providing some reassurance that anything is possible. Especially me, who was born and raised right in that same community, just like them, running around barefooted. And if I can accomplish this, I do believe that you can even do better. And this is the reason why ATDoe Foundation cannot stop until we see the first doctor, the first lawyer, the first engineer, the first pastor, the first teacher, and we will not stop.
And don't forget the first security officer. One of the students told me he wanted to be a security officer. So I asked him, would he be willing to protect me? And so for the rest of the week, I had Nathan joined at the hip, protecting me. He's already working on his future as a little protector. So they do have big dreams, and they're optimistic. When they talk about their dreams, they don't limit their dreams. They don't say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to college, but I'd like to. They declare it, and we declare those blessings on their lives. They believe it, and if they can believe it, we should be right there to help them achieve it.
Yes. Wow, ladies, this has been a powerful conversation. We are an hour and 15 minutes. I know I set us up for an hour and 30 minutes, but we could go on and on, but let's begin to wrap up. Starting with you, Kathryn, what are some of your last words or last message you want to leave with this audience?
What I'd like to say is that we get so much by giving. We are changing lives, we're sowing seeds. I always say some seeds fall on fertile ground and they take root and grow. Some fall on concrete and they may not grow, but then there's God that brings along a mighty wind and he blows those seeds from the concrete right into fertile ground. And that's what we're doing. We're sowing seeds of blessings and hope and purpose into these children's lives. And for $300 a year, you are not just educating a child with a Christian quality education, but you're also providing nutrition for that child. But the most important gift is the gift of hope and the gift of promise for the future. You will receive much, much more back than you could ever give. And I just can't ever imagine my life without the children and the support system that ATDoe provides to those children in Liberia and some at home as well.
Thank you, Kathryn. Wow. You're providing promise for the future. Oof, that's the whole sermon. Promise for the future. Carmen.
Oh, how do I wrap this up? We have to be a light for them in the darkness, which they don't know much darkness because they're such a shining lights themselves. But as we were there also, and we've got the fence going around the school and we're inside with the kids, there are so many kids hanging on the fence on the outside that it breaks my heart. But hopefully, if we continue to push our word out, share our stories of the ATDoe and the students that are there, that we're able to get more kids enrolled in the school that are the ones that are on the outside looking in, that are not being able to attend school because they're not able to afford even to go to a public school. There is so much need. They have dreams, just like the students that are in the school that we're seeing grow and continuing to share with other people outside those walls, outside those fences. So I can't wait to see what God has in store for this foundation. He has so much planned for us and so much planned for that school.
Yes. Oh, you two have been so impactful tonight, speaking from your heart. So many great words, leading back to purpose and just reassuring how important it is to be obedient and following your dream, right? And your purpose. For me, I came back with a very big demand on God. I mean, I feel like, God, you have done so much and you are not about to stop, because there's a whole generation that is waiting for ATDoe. And we have not even tapped into the different areas that you, God, spoke to happen. So I'm coming back thinking $20,000 to finish a school. And I'm like, God, this is nothing. When you think about the size of the dream of these students, the women that are coming through these programs to provide for their family, the health, those people that came to the health fair just for basic health services, something as simple as blood pressure, diabetes, God, not to mention the work in the US, our connecting with other graduating high school seniors. God, this is too big for us to limit you. We started 10 years ago and it was just a blueprint.
Yes.
And you have shown yourself faithful to begin to even hope for the future, where Texarkana University is already welcoming some of these students. This tells me I'm going to be going to graduation across the world. So God, I am thankful that you have trusted the ATDoe Foundation with such a great purpose and platform, and with great community of supporters and the board. So it just warms my heart when I think about everything. And I continue to say, God, you are not about to stop, because eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered the heart that you have for us. I feel like some might say you're being boastful. Yes, I'm boasting in the Lord, because I've seen, I'm going back to what he has done and speaking of the future, that he can do greater.
Yes.
And one thing I said, God, we will not beg to fulfill your purpose, because this is your business. This is God's business. We do not get financial benefit, but Kathryn, as you said, we get internal benefits. I feel privileged that I can be a blessing, that my family can be a blessing, that tomorrow a child is going to graduate and become something really big to say, yes, this was because of ATDoe Foundation. I don't even know what I would have done with my time if God hadn't connected me with ATDoe Memorial Foundation. So whoever is listening, I just want to encourage you tonight. Whatever your purpose is, don't worry about the size. Because if the size is not big enough to scare you, that means God is not in it. And that's where we started from, talking about building a school. Now we're talking about building a high school and a clinic, and it keeps growing. And I'm like, God, this is you. You have never failed, and you will never fail. So again, I want to thank all of you who have prayed for this foundation, who have supported, who have contributed, who are just championing or just sharing the word. You all are impacting purpose. And that's the reason we get to sit here tonight and celebrate all the blessings that we experience visiting Liberia. And to my two sisters, I want to say thank you. I love you just for trusting me and my husband and just stepping into the deep, because that's what God is calling us for, to step into the unknown. He's already ahead of time. He's outside of time. He just waits for us to take the first step. And I see a lot of you have already done it, and you're going to do more. I tell Carmen, I say, you got to get ready to go to Liberia by yourself. Because I know your heart is there. You want to do a lot. I can't be with you every time. That's another purpose. You got to fulfill that by yourself.
Yes,
I'll go with you.
So you get
Anytime.
to go the next trip. But ladies, again, I just want to thank you, and to our listener, I want to say thank you so much for giving us an hour and 30 minutes. Please feel free to reshare the video. We will also put it up on our YouTube page. For me, this was a conversation, and it just blesses my heart to reconnect and just share the beautiful experience from Liberia. Thank you all so much. Kathryn, enjoy the time with your hubby. And Carmen, thank you so much again for all you do, and to all our sponsors and supporters. May God bless you as you have been a blessing to the people who are benefiting from ATDoe. Okay, ladies, good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.